Hello, everybody. It's me again, Rich Andre, and I'm going to be talking about strong and weak nuclear forces for this video. So stay tuned, okay? So, in order for us to dive into this topic, we first have to start with one of these, okay? Because there are two nuclear forces, okay? And what is a nuclear force uh, to begin with? Okay? Nuclear forces is part of the four fundamental sort of forces that govern our whole universe. Okay, so what are those four to list? Okay, so we have electromagnetism, electromagnetic forces. Okay, electromagnetic forces. These forces basically entail, okay, what particles attract and repel each other, um, and so much more. Okay, basically everything that has to relate to electricity and magnetism. Okay, so the second would be strong nuclear forces. Okay, which what we are going to discuss in this video. We have strong nuclear forces and weak nuclear forces. Okay, the fourth will be gravity. Okay, gravity is basically a constant force that we encounter in our everyday life. Okay, so now let's talk about strong and weak nuclear forces. Okay, if you would imagine an atom, okay, so let's say this is an atom. Inside it would be protons, which are positively charged, neutrons, which are neutrally charged, and outside of this orbit, you will see electrons, which are negatively charged. Okay, but let's not focus on electrons. Let's focus on what's inside the nucleus of the atom. So, in the nucleus of the atom, okay, you can see that inside of that nucleus, we have a proton, okay? We have a proton, we have protons, which are positively charged, and neutrons, which are neutral. Let's just say N for neutral, okay? So, when you have a lot of protons, okay? When you have protons, you have two or more protons inside an atom, okay? As we have explained here, protons are positively charged. And according to the rules of electromagnetism, okay, according to the rules of electromagnetism, like charges repel each other, okay? So what does that mean for our friendly little proton that we have inside this nucleus, this atom's nucleus? Well, as this rule states, okay, these two, they're going to repel from each other, okay? So obviously, there is going to be some kind of force from that very same repelling behavior, okay? So, according to scientists, okay, the force that uh, the repelling behavior of these two protons can have is basically approximately 20 pounds, okay? And 20 pounds in the quantum world is very, very massive, okay? So that puts us into question. That makes us question, okay? How is the nucleus of the atom not destroyed yet or not torn apart yet? You would think that from that from the force that they basically emit from that repelling behavior, okay, you would think that the nucleus would be in some ways damaged or even destroyed completely, because you wouldn't have that much force between them repelling each other, constantly repelling each other, okay, going to both sides of the nucleus, trying to get as far away as it can from each other, okay. So that's a good question, okay. Why does the nucleus not break or get damaged or get cut or get torn apart from this repelling behavior between the two protons, between the two like charges? Well, that is where strong nuclear forces, that is where strong nuclear forces come into play, okay? Strong force, the strong force, okay? Because the strong force is basically this force that has this protons, okay, that basically stabilizes the entire state of the atom through stabilizing the nucleus or the nuclei, okay? So how does it do it? Okay? The strong force is basically the force that pushes the nuclei inward. So if the protons, okay, if the protons push it outward, the strong force pushes it inward. Okay? And that's basically what the strong force is for the nucleus. Okay? For atoms. Now, what is the weak force? Okay? So this is still a force. But in contrast to the strong force, okay, you would imagine an atom again. Let's draw an atom again. Okay? Let's draw an atom. Let's draw an atom. This is the nuclei. This is the electrons. Okay, the nucleus. Okay, sorry. So let's get back to the protons. Okay, let's go back to the neutrons and the protons. Protons. They're basically made up protons and neutrons. Okay. They're basically made up of what we call quarks. And these quarks, okay, they are what we call, to the general sort of category that the quarks fall upon, okay. We have quarks and gluons, okay, but I'm not going to emphasize on the gluons. But so we have quarks that basically categorizes into subatomic particles. Okay. So inside these protons and neutrons, there are what we call quarks. And these subatomic particles, they are the building blocks, the direct building blocks of these two these two, the protons and neutrons, which in turn are the building blocks of the atom. Okay. So these quarks, okay, they follow a sort of pattern. Okay. the quarks follow a certain pattern. We can see here in this illustration the pattern that they basically have. Okay, so let's read the description here first. Weak force. Okay, the weak force can change a quark from one type to another, from up to down. Okay, that change could turn a proton into a neutron. Okay, or vice versa. This process would also produce a neutrino and an electron or anti-electron through a process called beta decay. Okay, so if we look at the illustrations here, we have a proton, and it basically just implies that protons are made up of up quarks. Okay, so we have 3 quarks here. There is two ups and 1 down. Okay, so whichever direction, whichever is it up or down, which is more than the other, that's what is the basis of what kind of atomic particle, okay, it'll be, whether it will be a proton or a neutron. So a dominant up quark, okay, a dominant ups in will make an up quark, and that up quark will make a proton. Okay, and a down quark will make a neutron. Okay, 2 downs and 1 up will make a neutron. So the weak force, basically, it's sort of a transformative sort of phenomenon. Okay, it basically does something. Okay, it basically converts these quarks into these 2 patterns. Okay, so it can convert a proton into a neutron by changing 1 up quark, one up to down. Okay, and conversely, okay, vice versa. It can make neutrons into protons and protons into neutrons, depending on the quark that it converts. Okay, so this is basically just an overview of what strong and weak nuclear forces are. Okay, so hopefully I've given you a better understanding of what strong and weak nuclear forces are. Okay, and for the next video, I'm going to be talking about the electromagnetic force. Okay, so that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, please give me your honest feedback in the comment section below, and I will be sure to read it. Okay, thank you and have a nice day. It's me, Rich Andre.